Good morning and welcome back. It's certainly not the typical bloom we see around the coastal empire and the low country, but one plant is really about to put on a show in this East Savannah neighborhood. Take a look. And a time of year dominated by blooms, there is a little extra excitement on a street in East Savannah.
Probably about 4 days ago and literally overnight.
It shot up.
Shot up.
And you're anxiously awaiting that bloom.
Absolutely.
And Agave americana, also called a century plant, is about to explode for the first time in more than 30 years.
Oh my gosh. The base probably was half the size that it is now. You know.
Okay, so it's grown a lot.
It has grown a lot.
Slow and steady, this granddaddy agave or century plant, now taller than 6 feet, 8 to 10 feet wide, shooting up a bud that will soon bloom, actually ending its life cycle. Yes, after blooming, the agave responsible for the bloom will die. And this may be the most impressive show in decades, but it isn't the only agave that calls Florida Avenue home. An extension of the same plant was shared and transplanted between neighbors, and it bloomed back in 2010.
And then at the top of the stalk, there was white flowers, you know. And it probably lasts a couple of weeks, and then it started dying off.
Now, because growing conditions were so great here, we actually had offshoots from the original plant along its root system. So even though the big one dies, the little one has a chance to prosper. And the cycle continues. The blooming plant dies and the next one grows, maybe blooming in 10, 20, 30 years. If you'd like to grow a massive agave, you'll need a well-drained area in full sunshine and, of course, some patience. Happy gardening, Cutter Martin, WTOC. Yeah, pretty interesting here. These are not native plants in Mexico and portions of southwest Texas. They are very arid plants. If you're going to take that venture and plant one, lots of sunshine and probably the driest, most well-drained part of the yard that you can find. Guys, it was actually Stephanie that called us. WTOC said, hey, something crazy is happening here. Has not happened in decades. She's been on that street, Florida Avenue, for more than 30 years. Wow. It was already in the ground when she moved in. This is by far the first bloom, of course, and she was stoked about it.
I have never seen anything like that in Savannah. I mean, that looks like something you would find in Arizona. Oh yeah, there are many different varieties, but generally speaking, that is the plant. People have been talking about this on Facebook that helps make tequila.
I love the shot of you standing next to it, and as the picture gets wider, you still can't see the top of it. Yeah. It's like, how wide do we need to go? That's crazy.
Yeah, it's an awesome thing, and again, this story is going to be at WTOC.com.
And Cutter, you just went where I was going to go. I think you make tequila out of agave, so that's another reason to look into this.
And maybe the next story is how to make tequila at home out of agave, right here on Morning Break.
And there would be a neighborhood party then.
Yeah, they have plenty of agave. Very interesting. Great story, Cutter. Well, spring is not the time we usually think of ice skating, but a retired competitive skater is making the sport hot. His videos going viral as he tries to make skating more inclusive and welcoming for all. Adriana Diaz reports.
With his untraditional moves.
Get it how I live it.